What's going on, everybody? Richie here. Just wanted to talk about a philosophy of my training that I've applied that I've had great results with, and I call it doing the bare minimum for gains. Doing the bare minimum to progress. And at first, it sounds sort of like a lazy way of training, but when you hear me out, you'll realize it's actually a very smart, sustainable approach to training that's going to yield results for many, many years to come. Uh, let me give you an example. I see a lot of people who, when they first start training, what they want to do is, they want their chest, they want big chest and big arms, and they start doing all these different machines and cables, 10 different exercise, 4 or 5 sets each exercise, really trying to pump up the chest and the arms, and you get a good pump for the time being. And so you look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh, damn, I just got a crazy pump from doing, 10 different exercises for arms and chest, and I look crazy right now. This must be working. Although it may work to some degree, especially if you're a complete beginner, because when you're a novice, you're just gonna, you're sort of gonna make progress no matter what, because your body, it's not it hasn't had to adapt to anything yet. So you're giving it some sort of stimulus that's causing it to adapt. Now, is this the best approach? I would say no. I would say no, because you're doing all these different exercises. You're putting wear and tear on your joints, and it's really the least bang for your buck. Now, I would say do the bare minimum for gains. So let's say you're a novice, you want your chest and arms to grow. Start out doing push-ups. Can you do a set of 10 push-ups? I know novices that can't. Not knocking anybody. I know novices that it's a struggle for them to do 10 push-ups. Well, how about instead of doing all these machines, trying to isolate a muscle, you hit your chest, your triceps, your shoulders, your core, working all the stabilizing muscles, and work up to 3 sets of 10. Once you can do 3 sets of 10, why don't you add a rep or two every single time you do a chest workout, and get to the point where you could do 3 sets of 20. And then after that, go back down to diamond push-ups, go back down to 3 sets of 10, and continue to progressively overload till those become easy and you're doing 3 sets of 10 dips. You get to 3 sets of 20. Just progressively overloading like that, right? That's going to target your shoulders, your arms, your chest. Instead of doing all these other useless machines and just getting a pump, you're actually building real strength. And then you get to a point where that becomes easy. You could either transfer over to weighted calisthenics and or start bench pressing. So you get strong. Go from not being able to do 10 push-ups to being able to do 3 sets of 5 with an extra 90 pounds on dips. Tell me that doesn't change your entire physique. How many exercises were you doing for chest, triceps, and shoulders? 1, doing the bare minimum for gains, right? Getting really good at a movement. A lot of the progress that we make as beginners is due to the neural adaptation. So it's your mind learning how to do the movement, actually. So your mind learns how to do the movement, you program it into your central nervous system, you become more efficient at the movement, you become really good. And when you become really good at moving really heavy weight or your body weight through space, you make gains. It's really just that simple. Instead of using your valuable time spread out amongst a bunch of different machines and smaller exercises, get the most bang for your buck. There'll be a time and place for machines and additional exercises, but it's not when you're a beginner. It's more when you're like an advanced athlete who's putting up some serious numbers. That's when you might have to switch in some moves that are a little bit easier on the joints. Start messing around with accommodating resistance and assistance moves and things like that. But another good example would be, if you talk to advanced lifters, and advanced lifters, guys that have been doing it for a long time, that are really strong, that are really jacked, especially natural athletes, they'll tell you, to get a big bench press, they got to bench press 4 or 5 times a week. Does that mean you should bench press 4 or 5 times a week? Probably not. You could probably get away with benching 1 time a week in the beginning, and then eventually you might need a little bit of extra volume after that first 6 months to a year. Once you become an intermediate lifter, that might be a time to start adding in bench twice a week or start doing bench variations. And this doesn't just apply to bench, it applies to almost everything, right? When you're a beginner, you could actually get away with doing full body 2 or 3 times a week and recover because you're so weak that it's not taking a huge toll on your recovery, right? If you come in that first day and you're squatting 95 pounds, you might be sore for the first couple weeks, but chances are, you're going to get used to it, and a couple weeks from now you're squatting 135 pounds and you're adding weight, but you're not getting as sore. You could probably start doing it 2 or 3 times a week and adding weight every single workout, doing the bare minimum to make progress, right? You don't need a whole lot of exercise variation, especially as a novice. I would say 5 or 6, 7 exercises should be good. You guys know what I do, for example. Squat, deadlift, bench press, weighted pull-ups, standing press. That was what I did to max out my novice gains over a 6-month period. Now I'm sort of in an intermediate phase, so I needed to start adding variations. And I added these variations to get more volume while, and the variations put less total stress on my joints and my body, and they take less of a toll on my recovery. So like I said, I did those 5 exercises, and then I added goblet squats for my squat assistance. I added Larson press for my bench assistance. I added a seated cable rows for my upper back. I added Romanian deadlifts for my deadlift assistance. And then for press, I actually haven't even added anything for assistance work, but I did start doing upright rows to try and put a little bit more mass on my side delts, because a bigger muscle is a stronger muscle. So that's where hypertrophy does come into play. So, doing the bare minimum for gains. This is a tactic that I've been applying. Also, I would like to add, why spend 2 hours in the gym, right, to get, let's say 100% results. Let's say 2 hours gets you 100% results, but you could achieve maybe 95% results, 90% results, right? So 10% less results off of 1 hour in the gym, right? It gets to that point where unless you're seeking a competitive advantage, putting in that extra hour to get that extra small percentage, it could be junk volume. You could be doing too much, and then the wear and tear on the joints adds up. If you're not an athlete competing, or you're professional doing this for money, you don't necessarily need to seek out that competitive advantage or that edge. And that's what a lot of these guys do. People that you might follow on Instagram that compete, the top of the top, elite, lifters in the world. A lot of the things they're doing is for competitive advantage. And that might not necessarily be you. I know for me, I train just to be stronger, because I like the way I feel. I enjoy doing it, and it's just for my overall quality of life. So, should I put in an extra hour of training to get 5% extra results while abusing my body and impeding my recovery? I'd say no. Right? I'm going to do the bare minimum to make progress. And the bare minimum, as you continue to train, the bare minimum will increase over time. And that's normal, and I think that's good, and it's good to start reaching higher levels. So don't get this confused with me saying, to not take your training seriously, or, to be lazy in your training. That's not what I'm saying. When I say do the bare minimum, I say do the bare minimum for results. Right? So figuring out what your maximum effective volume is, figuring out what your maximum recoverable volume is, and finding that sweet spot in between until you reach that point where you hit your maximum recoverable volume, and then you drop the volume back down for a deload week or even a deload month if you've been hitting it hard for a year or so. Letting your body sort of reset and get used to feeling that stimulus again, and then coming back, hitting it hard and making more progress. That's the long-term play. That's the way to do it safely while continuing to make progress for years on end. Doing the bare minimum for gains. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, go ahead, leave me a like. I'll talk to you next time.